So, we were discussing a little more complicated and little more different program, that is using a function. Here what we had discussed in the last lecture is that we are using a new type of statement, that is hash define. This is a preprocessor statement. Okay. This is called a preprocessor statement, which is replacing pi with the value that is specified. Now, anywhere I can define other things like this also. For example, I can write say hash define resistance is 10 ohm, all right, 10.2 ohm, whatever. That means, in my program, wherever I get this variable name resistance, that will be replaced by this constant value 10.2 even before the program is compiled. Okay. That is the first new thing that we saw. The second thing is, look at this. Let us study this program. First, I am putting a comment, and the comment tells me what this program is going to do. The comment is compute the area of a circle. Okay. And as usual, I start with a main, as usual I start with a main, all right. And inside main, let us see what we have done. We have done something different now. All of you will be able to say, what is this? This is a type declaration for two variables, radius and area. And what sort of type declaration is that? It is float. That means, radius and area are two variables which will hold real numbers or floating point numbers, right. Now, I also declare my func. This is another function, and the style in which I wrote tells the compiler that this is a function, and this function is also of type float. What is the type of a function? When we will be studying function in detail, we will be understanding that. Now, what have we done here? Scanf, you know that by now. Scanf is reading the value of some variable. How many? Here I look at this point, I find that it is 1%f. So, only one variable is being read, and what is that variable? That is radius, all right. So, I will read the value of the radius, and radius is of type float, right. So, it will be say 15.25, that has been read. Now, computing the area, the main function is not doing itself, all right. So, let us quickly go back to our old diagram. So, this is the main machine or the main function. So, here what have we done? We have read, I am writing in a pseudocode, I have read the value of radius, and there is a function called my function, all right. Now, after I read the radius, I do not want to take the botheration of computing the area. This machine, sub-machine, knows how to compute the area. It knows that area will be computed as pi times r times r, that means pi r square, right, area of a circle. but this is a function that can compute area of any circle. It has been designed because by pi r square you are not finding the area of only this circle, you can find the area of this circle or might be this circle. Only thing that is differing is the radius, right. Here it is one radius, here there is another radius, here there is another radius. Okay. So, this machine or this function can compute any area of any circle, provided it gets the radius told to him, told to this. So, this machine is expecting some value to be passed on to this, Okay. Please note the terms I am using. This function wants some value, requires some value to be passed on to this. Now, you can ask that, well, this is such a simple program, I could have written it here itself. Yes, certainly you could have written it here itself, but this is just an example. Actually, in a very complicated scenario, there are many complicated tasks, and if we want to solve the entire task by ourselves through a single program, there is a chance of error. Okay? That is problem number 1. So, we want to divide the problem into sub problems. That is a general programming philosophy, that we want to divide the problem into sub problems and solve each of the sub problems separately, because they are more manageable. I can find out what are the errors, whether they are working properly or not, and then I combine them together and solve the overall problem. That is advantage number 1. Advantage number 2 is that, suppose, let us just for the sake of argument assume that my function, this finding the area, is really a complicated program, okay, very complicated program. So, somebody has really taken the effort to develop this complicated program. Now, whenever me or you or anybody, any programmer wants to use this facility, then they do not need to reinvent the wheel and write that complicated program once again. It is available and I can reuse it, and only thing that I need to do while reusing it is just to pass the parameter. Therefore, the second big advantage is reuse of functions. That is why the concept of functions is so important in programming. All right. You will encounter this irrespective of programming languages. So, let us go back to this. So, here you see I am not computing the area. I means the main is not computing the area. What the main is doing, it is just here, it is calling my function. So, immediately this one is being called, and what will my function do? My function is ready, my function is here, and it is just expecting something which is r to come in, because it will compute pi r square. It is expecting r, and this one has got the variable, that radius in the variable radius. So, this is being passed on to this. So, over here from the main function, here is the main, from the main this radius is being connected to this r, all right, and this function, my function, is reading, is getting the value of r, and inside that it is computing the area. Now, there are some details which I will mention later. It is computing the area and it is finding the value in its own variable a. A is the variable. Now, for any program, if this function is used, then instead of radius you may have my radius or any other value, any other variable name can be there. Now, this will work for all of them. Let me clarify it once again. Say here there is a function and this function accepts R and produces A. Now, from as I said that it can be reused, from my program I am using it with the variable radius, it is being connected here. Maybe from your program you have not used the variable name radius, you have used the variable name say rad, alright. So, that when your program is using this function, this rad will be connected to R. Now, suppose here in my program I have used the variable name area for noting the area. So, this output A will connect to area. For example, for your program you said area. Now, recall that in C small and capital makes difference. So, this is another variable name, this is a different variable. So, for you this A will connect over here. Now, this my function is only concerned with R and A, and the job of connecting them is up to the function that is using it, alright. So, here what happened, I called the main function, my function, computed A, how? Here I wrote pi R R. Now, how do I know pi? Because pi has already been defined here. So, this pi will be replaced by this value. So, 3.1415926 times R and what is this R? Since it has been called, when it has been called with radius, the value of radius will come here and return A. Now, this return means where will it return? This is another new word that you are coming across. This return means it is returning to the point from where you were called. Okay. The program was going on like this, from here it called my function. So, after my function is executed, it will return back to the same point, alright. So, we have come across a new word return, and return is returning the value A, and that is being assigned to my variable area, alright. And then printf, you can now understand it will, what will be printed? Area is dash, and this one will take some floating point number, maybe 255.72, whatever it is, and this value of area will be filling up this place. So, this is another example of a C program. So, through these examples, what we tried to do is to introduce you to some of the very common names and common words and common features of the C programming language, all right. Next, we move to this, that main is also a function. I have already said that main is also a function. This is clear to you now, but just quickly have a look at this. Here I have identified some variables. I have identified some variables A, B, C, which are integers, and the same old program, and this is also a function, fine. Now, here are some words of advice. When we are writing a program, it has got a couple of things we have to keep in mind. First, it must be correct so that it can be executed by a compiler. It should adhere to the rules of the game, the syntax and the grammar of the C language. The other thing is also this program has to be understood by others, because if you have written a program and someone else wants to extend this program, you are working in a big company and there are a number of programmers, and each of them are writing a small segment of the program, and everybody must be able to understand everybody's program. Therefore, the programs should be written in such a way so that it is understandable, better understandable. Just like if we write in very bad handwriting, write something here, something there, I will not understand it. But if you write it nicely in a sequence, it is much, and with proper paragraphs, etc., it is much better readable and better understandable. So, here we will see some of the requirements for a desirable programming style. One is of course clarity, right. It must be very clear. The program should be clearly written. It should be easy to follow the program logic. Now, here is something that is very important. I insist on that. There should be meaningful variable names. For example, I want to add two numbers, and when I say sum assigned a plus b or sum assigned num 1 plus num 2, it is good, semicolon. Please do not forget the semicolon, okay, in the same. Now, this sum is a meaningful variable name. It immediately tells me what this variable is meant for. It is holding the sum. But suppose if I had written something like Tt is equal to Tt t multiplied by t minus x, then from this it is not very clear what is this Tt, why are you using this Tt, all right. If say for example average, I am computing average as AVG, and that is x plus y plus z divided by 3. It is very understandable, semicolon, it is understandable. I could have written the full thing average equals to this, or I could have written AVG, all these things are fine. But if I had written PQR is equal to x plus y plus z divided by 3, then it is not very clear, although I can look at this side and understand that okay, therefore, it is PQR is the average, but this is not a very good practice. Okay. Now, so make variable and constant names meaningful. For example, pi should be written as pi. It is not good that 3.1415 all those that value I write as chi, okay, because that is not very clear what this value is standing for, all right. So, here are some examples. Use area instead of a, radius instead of r, and program documentation we had said that we should be very generous about writing comments, but if there are too many comments, then that is also not very desirable. Now, we are coming to a very important point, that is program indentation. What is that? The structure of the program should be immediately visible. We will give you some examples. Here is a good example. Here this is simple. I am writing in straight line, here there is a function, that is fine. Let us come to another example which will be better illustrating this. This is a bad style, you see here, compare these two, all right, compare these two. Here there is a declaration, then I leave some blank and then I put the actual code here. These are the declarations. So, I understand this is a declaration. Compared to this, which is easy to understand, okay, this is something, this is something else. Compared to that, here where I do not put a gap, it is difficult to understand where the declaration ends and where the code starts. Okay. So, here is another good example, say finding the largest of 3 numbers. Look at this. As I said that if I have read this, but one bad thing is here there should be a gap here, there should have been a gap here, all right. Now, here if A and B, so that is the first diamond or decision box, if A is greater than B and A is greater than C, then I am doing something, all right, then I am doing this part of the program, otherwise I am doing this. So, here you can quickly, looking at this indentation, that this printf is under this and this part is under this, that is very clear from this indentation. I have shifted it a little bit, and so immediately you can understand that this printf is if this condition is true. That means, this part is for this diamond box to be true, like that. Okay. This is a good indentation, good style. Now, the same thing would be a bad style if I write it in this way. From here, it is not at all clear which one is corresponding to which one, not very clear. If I study it closely, I will be able to understand, I will be able to understand that this printf corresponds to this condition, but immediately when I look at it, it is not very visible. So, this is a bad style, all right. So, indentation is something that is very much prescribed in good programming. This becomes very important when we actually go for more complicated programs. Now, coming to the C character set. In an earlier lecture, I had briefly talked about this. Just as in English, we have got a character set A to Z, capital A to Z. Similarly, C language has got a character set with which we make the words. You have already seen them. So, the first thing is, of course, the uppercase letters, the lowercase letters A to Z, digits 0 to 9, and some special characters like you can see this hash. We have already encountered this when we said hash include, that is a part of the C symbol set. Percentage, we have seen that when we said percentage %d, percentage %f, you have seen that, and this sort of symbols, this you have already encountered. All these are some certain special characters that are allowed in C, all right. Now, the identifiers and keywords, we have also talked about that the names are given to very different programming elements. For example, variables we already know, constants we already know, functions we have already seen. Each of them are given some names. For example, when we wrote myfunc, that was a name given to a particular function, all right. When I wrote avg, that was given to a particular variable, that was the name given to a particular variable. When I wrote pi, that was the name given to a particular constant, right. So, in that way we have encountered these. So, now how there is some restriction on the names that I have also mentioned, may consist of letters, digits 0 to 9 and this underscore character with no space in between. Whenever I want to put space, I will put in this underscore characters. This is very useful. This is very useful to put this underscore character here. What is happening here? The first character must be a letter. The first character must be a letter. Okay. This character must be a letter. An identifier can be arbitrarily long, but that depends on some C compilers. Okay. Some C compilers recognize only the first few characters 16 or 31. And another very important thing that we had talked about, that it is case sensitive. A small area written in small letters and an area written in capital letters or an area with a mix of small and capital are all different. These are not the same. This we had mentioned in the last class. There are some keywords, some words which are reserved for and have got some predefined meanings and have got some predefined meanings in C. Okay. For example, auto, brake, constant, float, float has got a specific meaning, int has got a specific meaning, return you have seen, it has got a specific meaning, etc. If you have seen, it's has got a specific meaning, else you have seen, it has got a specific meaning. But within comments you are free, because comment is never being so closely looked at by the compiler simply takes it and prints it out, all right. So, this is another thing that you have to remember, whatever keywords you face during programming, you will gradually remember that these are the keywords and that should not be used as a variable name. Okay. So, here we will conclude this lecture with some examples. You can see some valid identifiers. X is a valid identifier, ABC. Now, simple interest, I have put in an underscore here. A123 is fine because it is starting with A, an alphabet. List, fine. Stud name means a student name, very clear, understood. Employee 1, employee 2, average employee salary. See, I wanted to write a big thing and I could do that by, instead of blank, I just put underscore, all right. Invalid identifiers are these, and why? Because I can't start with a blank, I cannot start with a numeral. So, this is wrong. This is wrong because there is a special character that has been put in here. I mean, I could have written my underscore name, my thing is also this not looking nice. I could have done this, my name, but hyphen is not allowed. Hello is not allowed because here I have put in some special characters. Simple interest is not allowed because there is a blank. I cannot put in a blank, but I could have written simple underscore interest. That is quite valid. Area is not valid because it has got a parenthesis, and percentage is using a special character here. So, these are invalid identifiers, examples of invalid identifiers. So, you should keep that in mind. We will continue with our programming lectures. So, till now what we have done is we have looked at some of the rules for writing the program and how the variables and the constants should be named. We will continue with this.